Internet, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this is Unpopular Culture, the only show that thinks it can take a month-long hiatus and not lose any views.
Has it been a month?
It's been about a month. It's been a long time.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You know, I thought like, hey, you know, the holidays are happening. Let's take a break. And then, of course, we have the other channels, and oops.
Yeah. And then I got sick, which pushed it back even further. But anyway, today we're back to talk about some of the stuff that happened in the interim. And, yeah, stuff like that. So today we're talking about, firstly, Sherlock premiered the 4th season of the modern retelling of the Arthur Conan Doyle stories. Premiered
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
He believed in fairies, so I don't feel the need to respect him as a person.
Okay. That's fine.
It premiered with 8 million viewers, which was the highest on New Year's Day for BBC. We're going to talk about the episode and how we felt about it. Obviously, not the entire season, because we haven't seen it yet, but you get it. Next, DC Comics announces special crossovers that you might not expect. And Jake isn't as excited as I am. I think it's going to be funny. But
Nope.
Whatever. And then, an important thing that happened, which of course we have to talk about, Carrie Fisher of Princess Leia bikini fame, unfortunately has passed away of a heart attack. I think she was only 60 also, which is unfortunate.
The coke may have had something to do with it, but this was of the celebrity deaths, this is the only one that hit me.
And then, we're not going to talk about this as much, but her mom died like the week after.
Yeah, crazy.
Probably in relation to this.
It was like a few days after. It was nuts.
Yeah. And then, related to that, Disney is getting a payout from this of around $50 million. So we'll talk about that and what maybe they should do in the future with the character of Leia, how they're going to handle the death in the movies, what have you. And then finally, we're going to end on something a little more positive. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jackie Chan, a team-up which I never thought I would see. I didn't know I wanted it until I heard this, but they're teaming up for a movie.
Is that more positive, though? An argument could be made that an Arnold Schwarzenegger plus Jackie Chan past their prime movie produced in Russia is worse than Carrie Fisher dying.
Okay, you know what? In fairness, for a long time, people wanted Schwarzenegger and Stallone to team up also, and then that happened, and he got that shitty movie where they were trapped in the high-tech prison. So yeah, you're right. We'll see what happens.
Oh, it was way better. I thought you were talking about Expendables 3 or something, which is way better.
I don't like the Expendables movies. Anyway, first topic, Sherlock. So, Sherlock premiered Season 4. A lot of people didn't like Season 3 because they felt it was too fan-servicey, a little too funny, didn't get into the mysteries as much. Season 4 opener, as we said, premiered to 8 million, which is a little less than the premiere of last year's Christmas special, and even fewer than the premiere of Season 3, which was their highest rated episode ever, so that's to be expected. But it was still pretty heavily viewed, let's say. And we're going to have spoilers, by the way, a little bit in this episode. So if you don't want them, skip forward in the description to whatever the next thing is. So in this episode, it begins promisingly. I enjoy Sherlock. I like the actors. I like the stories. Begins with a mystery about a missing son. And this is the most interesting part of the episode, and it is resolved in the first 20 minutes. Not even. Probably 15 minutes.
It was interesting. And also, they had like the... in the very first episode of Sherlock, there was a lot of those social media layovers or overlays, I guess. And they did a lot of that stylistic stuff in this episode, which I really hadn't seen since then. Like, they do some stuff like the texting with Moriarty. But this was real heavy on it, and so it felt at first like a real fast-paced, lots of mysteries, and then right after they solve this kid's dead case, we get into this weird. Is it a case?
Okay, so what happens is this is based on this episode's called The Six Thatchers, based on the original story by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. The Six Napoleons, very similar plot. There are 6 busts of Napoleon or Thatcher in this version, and they're being smashed, and then there's a murder, and they're trying to figure out why are people smashing these busts. In the original story, it turns out there was a jewel hidden in one, and that makes sense as a story. In fact, this story looks like it's going that direction to be a complete retelling because they bring up this pearl that's missing, and I thought, oh, okay, they're just doing a direct adaptation, that's fine. But when you get to the reveal scene where you think that's going to happen and he smashes it and it's going to reveal, out comes the USB thumb drive that Mary tried to give John.
Oh, no, it's a Mary episode. No one likes Mary, Mark Gaddis.
Okay, and here's the thing about Mary. I don't mind them giving her more stuff to do. It makes sense. I mean, you're retelling a story in the modern day. You want her to have more agency. That's fine. But both Moffat and Gaddis have this thing about way overdoing things. They start moving in a good direction, and then they overshoot it by a mile. You can see something similar in Doctor Who with Jenny and Vostra. Like, oh, good, you have lesbian characters, but it's normalized. You're not like you shouldn't be making a big deal out of it. But like, the entire character traits of those characters is, we're a lesbian couple and we fuck all the time. Like, that's their whole thing. Same thing here. Instead of just making Mary a competent person who can maybe help out and is supportive of John, or she has her own thing going on that ties in. No, we can't just do that. She has to be a super secret agent with a false identity who used to kill people.
And a dark past.
And I hated that in last season when they figured that out. Or the season before, I forget which. No, it would have been season 3, because that's when we first met her. I hated that. I hated that episode. But at least it was done. It seemed like it was done, right? No! Like 3/4 of this episode is Mary and friends. Hey, look there. Sherlock, come tag along with me on my dark past adventure that doesn't make sense. So, I guess they were in some sort of situation, her and her group of assassins or you know, whatever.
Mercenaries?
Mercenaries, the better word, you're right. And they got captured, and she thinks she's the only one who escaped, but it turned out one of the other guys also escaped. But only after being tortured for like a year or something. And he is under the impression that she sold them out. He's wrong. And he doesn't question this at all, by the way. All he heard was the British woman ratted you out, she's the only British woman in the world in this guy's mind. Anyway, so he hides the flash drive. They're in, do you remember what country this was? I don't even remember.
I don't know. It was like
it's
the Middle East.
It was an Eastern European country, I think.
Okay. No closer west than like Turkey.
Sure. So he has the flash drive, and the flash drive is essentially, it's all the info on all the agents. And it's supposed to be like you can't screw me over because I have information on you. And for some reason, he hides this in a bust of Margaret Thatcher, who was the first female prime minister of the UK.
They have a shot, and then like a flashback, and he's getting chased by some people, and he has to hide it before he gets tortured or whatever.
But here's the thing. Okay, so he hides it in the bust, and I don't know why the thing about these busts is there's only 6 of them in like the world. Why are rare limited edition Margaret Thatcher busts?
They explain that too. It was the thing got bombed after.
It's so weird though. But anyway, he puts it in the bust by putting it in the bottom. But like, it's not a sealed bottom, so no one found it when they did seal the bottom. No one ever. It was just a ludicrous leap of logic there. Anyway,
it was stupid. But they tried to explain it. It was Mark Gaddis. You're bad at this.
This and the last thing he wrote for Doctor Who was that thing with the eye booger monsters.
Well, thank you.
Which, by the way, the sequel for that is apparently coming this season on Doctor Who. Because Moffat and him just, I don't know, do they have like a secret relationship where they just keep feeding each other's terrible writing egos? And I've shitting on Moffat a lot, but I'm just pissed off about this episode and Gaddis as well.
Do you think that maybe they like hooked up with George Lucas?
Maybe
at one point, and then they're like, no, you got to stick with it, or they're gonna taint your legacy like mine.
These are people who have good ideas, but they need someone to tell them no and when to rein things in, and I don't think they do that. They like to write on their own and have their creative vision, and that can be great. Moffat's written a lot of great things for Doctor Who, especially before he became the showrunner, because I assume he did get notes probably before he was the showrunner.
The first 2.5 seasons of Sherlock were fantastic, and Gaddis wrote most of it.
And anyway, so this episode continues on, blah, 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 blah. There's some Sherlock stuff.
Mary dies.
Sure. Do you notice this could just be, again, it's hard to get these two together because they're such big names now. I understand Sherlock and John, they're actors. So there's not a lot of interaction between Sherlock and John at all in this episode. At all. And then Mary dies, possibly in part because Sherlock was goading on who turns out to be the bad guy, which is a secretary. It's a stupid reveal. I don't care for it. She dies. John ostracizes him. And I hate, especially because I think this is going to be the last season of the show for the foreseeable future. It's possible 10 or 15 years from now they'll come back into a special or something. But right now their careers are like at the highest and they're going to get a little bit higher before they plateau. They're so busy. They're not going to be able to do a season 5 of this anytime soon. So really, we're going to spend probably half of this season with Sherlock and John estranged, even though their relationship is at the heart of every version of Sherlock Holmes. That is asinine, especially because at the end of the day, like, okay, John, I get you're mad, but also, weren't you just cheating on her or something that's very vague and not brought up a lot?
It was super weird. I don't understand why that was even a part of it.
That's so out of
It just made you not like John for no reason.
Right, and John Watson, of course, one of his main character traits is, despite everything, despite all the things Sherlock does and other people do, he is like the loyalist character.
Right, he's
got
impeccable character and fortitude, and he's always like, if you can count on one person, because Sherlock does some morally ambiguous shit every now and then, mostly because he doesn't understand why the logical thing can sometimes be amoral, but John's always like the compass, and if he's doing a bad thing, you defeat the whole purpose of having John around, which defeats the help he provides to Sherlock, which defeats the reason Sherlock should like him, which defeats Sherlock, the concept.
Yeah, this was a messy episode. Not to mention when she does get shot, and it's not like shot by a gun with like a large caliber or anything. It's a handgun. It's not a particularly large handgun either. I mean, in fairness, it's fairly close, but she gets shot around the abdomen area. It's a little ambiguous. It could have hit her heart, maybe. I'm not sure. But anyway, remember, John Watson, his backstory is he is a field medic who was in Afghanistan. And he can't stop her from dying in 30 seconds from a small handgun to the torso.
He didn't try either. And also Sherlock took the same bullet basically in the same spot from her in the season before and survived in a mind palace.
They explain that away. And again, some of the Sherlock bullshit, you got to understand, Sherlock isn't written like an actual smart person. Sherlock is written like a wizard who is a smart person. So not only is he smart, he is able to say, oh my god, I'm about to be shot. I have to position my body in the correct way and fall the correct way in such a way that the blood doesn't all rush out of my body. La-di-da-di. Fine. But I don't know. This was stupid. The best thing to come out of this was Mary's dead.
Maybe.
Oh God, no! Don't
She's
even.
She's a secret agent, Hugo.
If they bring her back, I'm done.
Anything.
I'm not even kidding. If they bring Mary back, I'm so done because the plot contrivances just get out of control at that point. And then to just shit in your mouth at the end of this episode, Sherlock in the mail receives a DVD that says, "Did you miss me?" And if you remember, we've now had 2 cliffhangers. End of season 3 and the Christmas special that both referenced Moriarty coming back. Not really back to life, but clearly he set up some sort of game or something before he died. That's how season 3 ended. It's how the Christmas special ended. It's how you assume this episode's going to start. At least planting seeds of that. And you're like, oh my god, this is going to be finally the thing that sets off the plot. Nope, it was Mary. And when you put the DVD in, she's like, I thought that would get your attention, which encapsulates everything wrong with this episode. You think you're going in for a solid Sherlock story, Moriarty, a great puzzle, Sherlock being smart, his relationship with John, and then nope, Mary fun time happy hour gets shot in the abdomen. It's stupid. It was dumb.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And good for them for breaking records, but I hope that Moffat and Gaddis they watch reviews of this shit. And they go, you know what? Maybe this isn't good.
But here's the thing. I don't think they do. Like I said, I don't think they take a lot of notes. I think they, in their head, have their creative vision, and as long as it's executed the way they want, they don't really care about the criticism. For instance, when the Eye Booger episode came out on Doctor Who, that was almost universally, people were like, this was not a good episode. It's an interesting idea doing the first-person camera thing, but it didn't really work. I remember at the time, I don't remember the exact words, but Gaddis said something along the lines of, yeah, people didn't like it, but I liked it, so, he just doesn't care. He doesn't care. And that's unfortunate because he's written great stuff. I mean, An Adventure in Space and Time, which was for the 50th, they did the story of the Doctor Who being created in the real world, the show. And that's great. That's a really, really good little movie with some good performances. He may have directed that as well. I'm not positive. But anyway, he wrote that and it's well written. So he can write well, as can Moffat. But as their shows get longer and longer, as Moffat's been on Doctor Who longer, as Gaddis has been on Sherlock longer, I don't, they get trapped in their own little writing spaces in their head where they can't objectively look at something and say, is this what made the show popular? Is this what people want? You know?
It's like they get into this sort of, you know, those authors that just, they have a contract and they have to write so many books in a year.
Sure.
It feels like that, where they're just like, I don't know, let's write 500 words of filler real quick and I'll figure it out. It doesn't ever feel inspired. When it's bad, it's bad. It feels like they just were like, oh, I need a 13th episode. Let's pump this in there.
When they drop the ball, it's like bad fan fiction. It's like bad fan fiction that was then handed to a professional production crew and filmed. I'm not kidding. And you know what scares me a little bit is that this is a very Mary-heavy episode. It concerns me that it's possible that they said, okay, we can get them back for one more season, but their roles have to be shrunk because they don't have time to shoot a full 3 episodes. Right, that's what I'm saying too. If you can't come and bring quality and have a satisfying conclusion, just don't do it.
Yeah,
just don't do the season.
Right, I'll sit on the last season for a while until you get time.
Sure, if you can't do it for 5-10 years, I'm okay. I would rather wait or have them come out like some shows when they don't end or whatever, they'll do a conclusion in comic book form or some other form where you don't actually need the actors. That's fine. Do that. Or not, I mean, it's Sherlock Holmes. Do you really need a definitive conclusion to Sherlock Holmes? You get the idea. So, I don't know. There's still 2 more episodes left, and I think this is going to be the last season. They haven't definitively said, but I think the last episode is titled something like The Final Puzzle or something like that, or The Final something.
Do you think there'll actually be a puzzle in that one?
In the first 5 minutes, and then it'll be and then Lestrade will come in and he'll be the star of the episode for 45 minutes, and then Sherlock will show up for a scene, and then it'll be about the lady who works at the morgue, and then Sherlock will show up at the end and talk about a story he heard as a child that bookends episodes for some reason.
Okay.
I forgot to mention, by the way, they're foreshadowing, again, why I think this is the last season. Sherlock's been having a dream about drowning, a recurring dream, because he's seeing a therapist now, which is a little out of character for him, but fine character growth, I don't mind. Oh, I understand that. When I saw that, I even said that in my head. I thought, oh, you're supposed to think this is John, but it's going to pan and it's going to be Sherlock. I know. But, yeah, I'm guessing it's going to end very Reichenbach fall-ish, where he's going to drown somehow, even though they already did Reichenbach fall from a building. Now they're going to do it kind of again somewhere else in some body of water, which will give them an out to have the show have an ending if they want, or in 10 years if they want to, they can have him come back and it turned out he faked his death again. So, I don't know.
Because he wouldn't do it twice.
Anyway, yeah, I'm pretty disappointed, but what are you going to do? It's Moffat and Gaddis. It's a real dice throw whenever their names are on anything. You might get something great like Heaven Sent. You might get something shit like Eye Booger Monsters or the Hellbent.
I guess let's take a second to say what we would like to see out of the next episode, because it's this coming week, right?
Yes, it's this Sunday.
So I guess because the last thing she says is save John, and basically, he's gonna be a wreck. He's a single parent now. John can't handle that. What I'm hoping is, you have to do the Moriarty payoff. You have to. You've been teasing it for like 3 years. You can't not anymore. So what I hope is we could get an anthology type story with the past things, and you could do like the record scratch. How did we end up here? At the beginning of an episode or something, and you could go back and show all the cases that they've been working on, because we need some cases to actually watch. And then at the end you can have your payoff, and then episode 3 can be the Moriarty standoff thing at the end. But the next one has to build up towards that.
Right. I want an episode like, especially because this is the middle episode. I hope they do that, because my favorite episode of Sherlock is the one where it's the wedding, and because there's like 4 or 5 different mini cases in that, and they all culminate in the end. But it's watching Sherlock and John do their thing, do a little vignette, do another little vignette, and maybe it comes together in the end. But that's what you want to see. You want to see them solving mysteries like they were in season 1 and 2. Like, go back. I'm not kidding. Go back and watch season 1 and 2. For the most part,
only
it's
mysteries.
It's just mysteries. They don't get into a lot of, and I'm sure you can point out a couple times where there's some melodrama, but there weren't entire episodes where it's like, oh my god, the relationship between John and Sherlock. And even in season 3, like when that did come back and he came back and John was mad that he faked his death or whatever.
But that was good. That was well done.
There was still a mystery going on. God, it's like
their lives have to be framed with a mystery.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's another mystery that needs to be unraveled, and that's why DC is doing a Hanna-Barbera crossover.
This is so funny. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to look at these because I don't remember specifically each one. But essentially, what DC is gonna be doing, they're doing a special annuals DC Hanna-Barbera crossovers. If you don't remember who Hanna-Barbera was, he was a artist who did a bunch of the shows in the 60s, 70s. So stuff like Scooby-Doo, Wacky Races, and all those characters, Yogi Bear, stuff like that.
Yeah, Herculoids.
Sure, there's a million of them. If anything that was on Boomerang like 10 years ago.
That gorilla.
Grape Ape.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're doing team-ups between DC...
That shark.
Jabberjaw.
Shark. That's the one.
And they're doing crossovers between those characters and DC ones. It's very
Penelope
self-aware.
Pit Stop?
Yes, she was in Wacky Races. And I think this is going to be hilarious. So let me run down some of these titles they're going to be doing. Now, I don't know who Adam Strange is, but he's a DC hero. And
what
he's
about
gonna be
He-Man?
No, He-Man is not. He-Man is totally different. That was 10 years later.
All right.
And they're going to be teaming up with Johnny Quest, which is kind of funny. I said I don't know who Adam Strange is. I'm not really a fan of Johnny Quest, but if you're a fan of those things, that's that. Now, this is my favorite one. And
wait, hold on. You can't go to Johnny Quest and then skip the most important part about Johnny Quest, which is during the theme song, which is fantastic, which is the best theme song that's ever hit television. Pretty much the Johnny Quest is when they get he's riding. There's like a space car or whatever. Johnny Quest. It was like 70s future shit. And then they hit the fucking villager guy and he goes, "Aye!"
I never watched Johnny Quest.
Oh, that show's so good, dude.
The one I'm looking forward to, Top Cat. If you know who Top Cat is, he's sort of a trouble-making cat, essentially, and he gets into trouble. They're doing Top Cat Batman. So Top Cat, breaks out of jail, and Batman has to bring him in. And that's hilarious. I like to see Batman thinking Top Cat as a fucking hardened criminal that needs to be brought to justice. I'll actually probably pick that one up. And then another good one, Booster Gold, the time-traveling superhero, is going to be teaming up with both the Flintstones and the Jetsons, which is pretty interesting. If you haven't seen, by the way, if you haven't read the new Flintstones comic, it's really, really great. I know that sounds stupid. What? A Flintstones comic is great. No, it's good. Check it out. For instance, it takes itself seriously. Like, it's actually using the Flintstones as like a social commentary thing. Like, Fred has PTSD because he was in like a war that happened. It's implied to maybe kind of be like Vietnam, but with dinosaurs or something. Anyway, or no, was it with Neanderthals or something like that? Anyway, it's a really good book, so please pick it up or pirate it, whatever. Then
so is it a gritty reboot?
Yeah, but I think it knows it's kind of ridiculous too, if that makes sense. And like, there are scenes with, for instance, the appliances, but they're self-aware of how fucked up it is that they're being used as appliances. Like, there's these two characters, I forget what they are. I think one's a vacuum and one's something else. And they live in the closet, basically, and they're each other's only friends. It's really fucked up. So seriously, if anyone can find it, or find it online or whatever, or digital comic service, whatever you use, please check it out. Either you'll like it or you're not gonna, but you have a high chance of liking it, because it is entertaining at the very least. So then, Green Lantern Space Ghost, which makes sense. Space Ghost is space cop, kind of, very similar to Green Lantern, so that makes sense. And then... Sure, that'd be kind of funny. And then this one's the more ridiculous. This is the most ridiculous one in my opinion. You guys remember the Banana Splits? It was Hanna-Barbera, but they were live action. They were people in like suits, kind of like Mickey Mouse suits, but like crappy ones. And it was what what do they call it? It's a show, but it's not like a story. Like they do a bunch of stuff. They show cartoons and a variety show for kids. So they're doing Banana Split's Suicide Squad because according to the synopsis, the Suicide Squad gets kidnapped or something, and they need to send in the Banana Splits to save them, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and I am so excited to read it.
All of this sounds like trash.
It's like, what if we team up the most ill-fitting team up ever? That's funny. That's hilarious.
That's The Odd Couple. That's not still funny.
I'm just saying.
It's been done so many times.
The thing about The Odd Couple is that they're opposites. This isn't that they're opposites. It's that they make no logical sense being in the same universe. That's why it's funny.
That might be the reason it bothers me so much.
But, like, can't you see the humor in, for instance, Batman being all serious and trying to fight a children's cartoon character? Do you not see the humor inherent in that? Because I think that's so funny.
I saw the Batman Scooby-Doo episode.
Well, that was like Adam West Batman, though, so that kind of fit because they're ridiculous. But anyway, on to more serious-ish news. I'm sure we'll tackle it with all the tact we can, which is not a lot. And that's actress Carrie Fisher has died at age 60 of complications from a heart attack. She was on a plane going to visit her mother for the holidays, and on the plane she had a heart attack. They did CPR as quick as they could. I think they sustained it for something like 10 minutes, which if you've ever done CPR or taken a CPR class, you know that's ridiculous and exhausting. So whoever was on the plane who did that, good for them. That's great. I hope they don't think to themselves, oh, I could have done more, because no, the fact that you were able to do that is amazing and good for you. But yeah, a couple days later, unfortunately, she did succumb to the heart attack and she did die. So, bummer. In fairness, though, as Jake said at the beginning, in the 70s and probably the 80s, she really enjoyed the coke and probably some other stuff we don't know about. But the fact that she lived this long and was able to get herself clean, and she did a one-woman show a couple of years back that was pretty good. It's on HBO Now if you want to check it out and find out a little bit more about the drug use and her relationship with her family. It's pretty good. And then the fact that she got to come back and reprise the role that made her famous and launched her into the pop culture. She got to play Princess Leia one more time. Twice. They did finish filming the next episode, so that's pretty cool.
Okay. Carrie Fisher she was awesome. I think everyone realizes that she was awesome. Now, she wasn't necessarily the smartest or nicest or even most talented actress. She was very honest, and that's something I really liked about her. And tons of people have amazing stories about Carrie Fisher. And if there's one thing that I think people would like after they die, it's that people would tell stories about you that made them laugh, and that's what you got all week after she died, and that was pretty cool. And also, my favorite part about her is that, and I know part of this is not all her, it's part of the writing, but she kind of carried that over into real life, is Princess Leia isn't a damsel in distress. Princess Leia took shit over. Like, she takes a gun from fucking, Han Solo or Luke?
Han, yeah.
No, it's Han, right? Yeah. And shoots the thing, and then they go down there, and she's in control. She's always in charge. She doesn't take shit. She gives it. And it kind of turned the trope on its head, and then you started getting actual heroines.
Yeah,
so,
I
think that's kind of, yeah. Well, because there's a lot of archetypes that happen from Star Wars specifically. I mean, if Rey's a Mary Sue, what's Luke? So, you know what I mean? Like, but she wasn't, the rogue or the comedic relief or the main character or the antagonist. She was something set off to the side and very unique, and that's why everyone remembers her. And yes, the bikini helped, but it wasn't just the bikini. She fucking strangled a dude in that bikini. Like, she doesn't just shoot someone, she fucking strangles him. It's the most violent death possible in this series, and she performs it, and in not 1 second do you think, wow, that's tasteless.
Yeah, that she was really good for the role. That role is pretty much made for her. And man, I'm glad we're gonna get to see her one more time as Leia next in December whenever the new Star Wars comes out. I'm and this folds into what we're gonna be talking about next. I'm curious how they're gonna handle this, the character, because according to someone at Disney, I guess they were actually in episode 9 will be the last one of this trilogy. In episode 9, she was supposed to have a bigger role, but obviously that can't happen now. So I'm wondering what they're going to do. And part of the equation here is Disney apparently is getting a $50 million insurance payout because in her contract, they did an insurance that said if for whatever reason Carrie Fisher can't perform in the series, we get this much money. And that's pretty standard. If you're a big star or whatever, and you're in a movie, or a movie series, rather, or even a movie, I guess, if you die or get injured to the point where you can't do your performance and finish the movie, well, the movie needs to make its money back, so they have insurance out on that. And, I've seen some people on the internet mad about this, like, that's ridiculous. No, okay,
that happens all the time.
That happens all the time. And,
like, Johnny Depp's insurance on those Pirates movies must have been insane.
Sure. And I understand the visceral reaction to hearing that a company's getting $50 million because someone died and being like, oh, but no, listen, at the end of the day, as much as we enjoy movies and they're an art form and they can speak about society and ourselves and whatever, it's a business. Movies are a business, and you can't have a series that's predicated upon certain people being alive and being able to perform in front of a camera, vulnerable to them dying and then ruining the whole thing and destroying the production, which may cost, I mean, movies cost so much money to make now. Now, the thing is, though, it's also the case of Disney's not just going to pocket the money. They're just going to be like, ha, Carrie Fisher, you're dead, bitch.
It's
Give me
Disney.
my money.
$50 million to them is something that would largely go unnoticed.
I assume a lot of that money is going to go into rewrites, because they're going to have to do some definite rewrites. They're going to have to potentially, it depends on how they do this. If they're going to add scenes where they're going to do a funeral or something where she's dead, they're going to have to spend money on that. And a movie as expensive as these Star Wars movies, $50 million isn't that much to do reshoots and to do build sets and hire people and bring actors back. You get the idea.
I have an idea, by the way, because no one cares about what you're talking about. So here's the idea.
Okay.
Here's the idea. So I don't know what happens in episode 8, but I can assume we're getting something similar to Jedi where Rey is going to be trained up. I don't know what's going to culminate in. I think Luke is going to die. But what you need to do is at the beginning of 9, whoever the antagonist is, and I'm assuming it's still Kylo Ren. A lot of people think there's going to be a flip-flop between Kylo and Rey. This is kind of a weak twist in my opinion. But whatever. Whoever the antagonist is, make them, in the very opening scene, assassinate Leia Organa. And make it be Bad News Bears. Like, don't pull punches. Don't, that fucking, those weird snake things that they put in Padme's thing. That was the assassination attempt. And then they go, and don't do that. Like, blow the shit up. Like, blow it up. Or make it just bad. You can get a body double and have her get actually killed, in some impressive way, and really hit home that, holy shit, the stakes are very high. And we all know Carrie Fisher's already dead. We all know that you gotta take her out of the story, but really take her out, because, like, let's face it, Leia's been the face of the rebellion for 3 decades. I think it's probable that she would have assassination attempts. And if one is successful at the beginning of 9, it sets the stage for the rest of it. And whatever role she was going to have, pass it off to other characters. And because think about it this way. In this universe, she would be a target all the time. If she actually died, how would those characters handle it? That's how you write this.
I like that idea, actually. That's cool. That's a good idea. I think that's a good way to do it. I think Disney...
Yeah, I'm not saying Disney, you fucking garrote her in front of the children.
I'm just saying... Disney is not, how do I put this? With their movies like the Star Wars and the Marvel, they're not champions of creative works. They're very paint by numbers, entertaining movies. Don't get me wrong. I've enjoyed all the Marvel movies. I've enjoyed the Star Wars movies so far. Rogue One, a little bit less.
We haven't had a Sherlock series 4 premiere from Disney yet.
I'm a little afraid a board of directors would sit in a room and say, okay, are people going to be pissed off that we murder Princess Leia.
They murdered Han Solo unapologetically but on screen in the middle of a bridge.
Right, but Harrison Ford isn't dead, is what I'm saying. I think they'll say, and I think most people would be okay with what you described. Honestly, I think people would understand why they did and all that stuff. But I think as a business, the board of directors or whoever is in charge of this will sit down and say, what percentage of people will find this offensive? Will that impact the amount of money we make? Okay, we'll go the bullshit easy route and just make it vague how she died, or you know what I mean? Because that is less likely to piss a certain amount of people off. I don't know.
It makes no literary sense. I mean, of course,
but that's what I'm saying. They don't care about.
Granted, a character in the Star Wars universe could have a heart attack and die on an airplane. I'm not saying that's impossible. It'd be funny if they just did that, but I don't want it to be funny. Like, it kind of cheapens her real death if the character on screen doesn't get an actual send-off.
Sure.
You could have a funeral. You can have a funeral in Act 1, and the actors won't even have to act. They'll be genuinely sad. Like, you can have a funeral, and you can have this sort of let's go fuck them up moment where, yeah, fuck the Knights of Ren or, you know, the First Order, whoever's in charge now, Snoke, whoever's behind it. Like, you could have this moment. So don't make Carrie Fisher dying make her character suffer. You know what I mean?
I get what you mean. I just don't think Disney cares as much what makes sense literarily versus how much money are we going to make. But that's just me. I've also heard people say they want them to do kind of a CGI thing like they did with Rogue One. I disagree. You know, we didn't get a chance to talk about Rogue One because we took a month off. Let me just briefly talk about what I thought about it, and you can too, obviously. I don't want to have an hour-long conversation, but you get it. Overall, it's okay. It's a serviceable movie. There's nothing wrong with it. I'll probably watch it when it comes out on home video to get another shot to take a look at it. But overall, I wasn't a huge fan. I didn't like it as much as Episode 7. I didn't like the characters as much as I liked the characters in Episode 7. The CGI Tarkin was so weird. I like the technology, and honestly, it makes it promising, because in 10 years, they're going to get that spot on. But it's funny because it didn't even seem like they got it quite as good as young Michael Douglas in Ant-Man, or young Robert Downey Jr.
It was weird because how they did it, at first, they hit it, and then they stopped hiding it.
Right, they should have kept him, and when it's the reflection in that mirror, you're like, holy shit! I believe that's, you know, oh fuck, I feel like an asshole now. I'm forgetting Tarkin's real life name, Peter Cushing.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Peter Cushing.
Oh, no, don't worry about it.
But then he turns around, and when he's not moving and not speaking, it looks pretty good. But as Uncanny Valley things go, once the CGI monster starts talking, you go, ooh.
Yeah, you know what they should have done? They should have really just always done an over-the-shoulder ominous Tarkin thing. Right. And then right at the end, he could have turned it to the camera, like right at the fucking end.
What's funny is that I've heard people online, and this was even before I went to go see the movie, that said, oh, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell that it was CG.
What? You
and
retarded.
I thought, no, but here's the thing. And then I was like, there's no way that's true. And then I saw it, and I was like, oh, no, you can totally tell. And then once, you know, me and my girlfriend are leaving the theater, because, you know, you talked about, I was like, oh, that was, you know, what do you think of the movie? And we were talking about it. I was like, oh, what did you think of CGI Tarkin? Wasn't that weird? And she went, what? And I went, Tarkin, the guy from the original Star Wars that's been dead for 30 years. What did you think about?
How does she not realize? Maybe it's just people who didn't see the originals and aren't paying attention.
I don't know if it's because I'm very aware of what Peter Cushing looks like and Tarkin, and I know he's been dead for 30 years.
Right. I mean, I jack off to pictures of him daily, so I mean, I know every crevasse in his face.
I'm wondering if that had something to do with it, because I was looking for it, and maybe if you're just not thinking about it, maybe it works.
It doesn't work for me.
No, and I thought it was, for what it was fine. I'm not.
By the way, the last 15 minutes of that movie are the best.
Yes, they are.
It's the best. It's easily the best Star Wars stuff that's happened since the first trilogy. Easily is the last 15 minutes of that, which saved a lot. It gave it like 2 points for me because it was so satisfying.
I did like the whole climax was good. I did like seeing the whole battle. There was some inconsistency stuff that was kind of weird. Red Letter Media talked about this, and you should really go watch the Rogue One review. I don't agree with all of it. I think they're overly critical of some parts, but I think they're more spot on than a lot of reviewers were who were just praising the thing.
They sometimes feed on each other's negativity, though.
Sometimes, and I love those guys. I don't want anyone.
I do too. No, I do too. But sometimes one of them says a thing, and the other one goes, "Yeah, fuck that."
Yeah. But one of the things they did mention, which kind of makes sense, is it's a little too fan wanky. For instance, they're like, okay, there's AT-ATs at the end of the movie, right? And they said, why are there AT-ATs at this base? It made sense on Hoth because you're doing an all-out assault. You need a frontal assault to destroy the shield generator. Why do you have AT-ATs, which are not a precision weapon? They just blow everything up around them on your own base planet. You're going to destroy all your own shit. That doesn't really make sense. And, I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, those were pretty much just there so you could see old-fashioned AT-ATs. And there's other stuff like that, too. Again, the movie's okay for what it is. If you like Star Wars, it's watchable. You'll enjoy some nods and stuff. And again, the last 15 minutes are very fun. And my God, that last scene with Vader. Holy shit. That scene could have gone on for 20 minutes and I would have been like, oh, the whole time.
Dude, it makes awesome. The beginning of New Hope so much better.
It makes it threatening. It
totally does. Because when you see New Hope for the first time, when we were kids, we saw New Hope. You're like, oh, that's the bad guy. Oh, she's a good guy, and she's okay. This is how it is. But now you watch the end of Rogue, just the last 15 minutes. Don't watch any of the rest of it. Although I enjoyed the movie, you don't have to watch the rest of it. Just the last 15, and then watch New Hope. You go, oh fuck, wow, she is really brave. Look at all those people. They are in total deep shit. This is wow. This is really intense. He's very threatening because he gets after it, and it's so Vader. They nailed that.
The thing they made hilarious, though, now, I'm not the only one to bring this up. Other people have mentioned
his shitty joke.
No, we can talk about that in a minute, though. But remember in A New Hope, Darth Vader's like, we know you're working with the Rebel Alliance. You are a traitor and rebel, whatever.
Sure.
And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. We were on a diplomatic mission. Like, wait a minute, bitch, we just saw you light speed away from a planet where you were assaulting our base. What are you talking about?
Diplomacy. No, it's good old-fashioned American diplomacy.
I thought that was funny, and that's a plot hole I can live with, because it's like, whatever, maybe she was
just barely a plot hole. That's kind of her just being like, she's never not like that, though, so it's like, okay, I can see a Leia joke there.
By the way, CGI Leia, I actually thought looked better than Tarkin, but maybe it's only because it was for like a second. I heard the opposite from some people, though, so maybe it is just a person-to-person thing, which uncanny valley thing bothers you the most, but I thought CGI
Tarkin was worse because he was on screen more, but Darth Vader made a joke in this movie. It was the worst part of the movie for me.
What the heck does he say? Oh, he force chokes a guy.
Don't choke on.
Be careful not to choke on your ambitions. Now, okay, that's stupid.
Would Anakin do that?
However, you could argue Vader has said shit like that in the past. Less jokey, but a little bit. Okay, so when Han Solo is on Cloud City with them, and they open the door to reveal Darth Vader, Han Solo shoots him. He stops it with his hand, and he says something along the lines of, we'd love for you to join us for dinner, something. And then, I find your lack of faith disturbing. None of it hits the same kind of chord that the bad joke in Rogue One made, but I can kind of see maybe what the writer was going for. They were trying to capture that sort of sarcastic...
No, but it was a dad joke.
Oh, it totally was.
I didn't like it. Anyway, we gotta move on. We've got to move on. We have to continue. We have to press on. But anyways, I hope they wrap up Leia's story. I hope it goes well. Rogue One gave me hope for the other anthology films. I agree with the whole fan wankiness. But yeah, the Vader stuff was great, so it worked out. But if you haven't seen Rogue One, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it, especially if you tack it onto the front of a marathon like many do. Do it up.
Sure. And I don't know why Forrest Whitaker was in this movie. I think he was in the trailer more than he was in the movie.
He was, don't worry about it. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jackie Chan are making a movie in Russia. What's it called?
It's called VIII, because it's a sequel to VIII, which is based on a Russian novel.
Is this going to be a drama?
No, it's yes. It is about waiting in line for bread for 2 days.
Is that Russian?
It's my attempt. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm trying to hold on. The original came out in 2014, although it started filming in 2005, but they had money issues.
Oh God. Okay, so people right now, by the way, are worried about a war with Russia. That made me very confident.
It's known in English-speaking countries as either Forbidden Empire or the Forbidden Kingdom. It's a dark fantasy about a guy who's traveling through Europe. It's not modern day. It's old. It's 18th century, I guess.
What? Wait, there's no guns. How is Arnold Schwarzenegger going to defeat enemies?
I don't know. But it's about a guy taking a scientific voyage from Europe to the east, and he runs into this like area or something that has a big moat around it, and when you get in there, it's really weird and fantastical, and there's monsters. You get the idea. The sequel is going to have Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger working together, though, which is...
Are they going to speak in Russian?
That's what I'm not sure, because, okay, Jackie Chan already isn't the best at English, not to knock the guy, but, yeah, if you heard him
not
speak...
good at English.
No.
Arnold,
I swear, some of his lines he's got to be doing phonetically sometimes. Like in the Rush Hour movies, I feel like you can tell he's gotten better since then, but, yeah, older stuff.
Well, it's been
Schwarzenegger,
like 20 years, so I hope so.
Schwarzenegger's fine at English, but I don't think Schwarzenegger speaks Russian, though. But then again, I wouldn't imagine Jackie Chan does either.
Right.
Well, I know he's from Austria, but I'm just saying it's possible to know more than 2 languages, so I don't know.
No, I understand, but he's not even good at learning another language that he's been working in for 50 years, so I don't...
No, Arnold speaks fine. He just has a thick accent.
What? No, Jackie Chan.
Oh,
I'm not worried about...
You're...
I believe that Arnold Schwarzenegger could learn Russian. I do not believe that Jackie Chan could learn Russian.
Fair.
Effectively. I believe it would be very similar to how he speaks English, but Russian.
I would guess what's going to happen is either they'll phonetically give them their lines, which is a terrible way to do things, or they'll just have them speak... I would guess English, because I don't mean to be, these selfish Americans. No, I mean, English is the most commonly spoken second language in the world. So it would kind of make sense since they both already know English.
Well, it's the language
to do
of
that.
Commerce around the world.
And then just subtitle it for Russian audiences or dub it, whatever. I just can't see them speaking in Russian. Arnold Schwarzenegger speaking in Russian with his accent is possibly one of the funniest things I think I ever have wanted to hear. So... what would that even sound like? I can't even...
I don't know Russian words.
Dos vidanya, no.
Vodka make you strong like bull.
Yeah, but honestly, I might check that out. I don't think I'll watch the whole movie, but I'll check out scenes with them in it because... God, now I really just want those two in a movie in America because they're both action stars in their own right, but on such separate sides of the spectrum. You know, Jackie Chan, such a quick guy. He does obviously great martial artist. He does comedy martial arts, fucking amazing. But you probably know that if you've seen any of his movies, even his serious movies. If you've ever seen stuff like A Police Story or there's other Jackie Chan movies. Anyway, it's amazing. Arnold Schwarzenegger is the personality guy, though. He's got the guns. He's got the words. He's coming for you, motherfucker.
He's got the leather jackets and the sunglasses and the muscles. So,
a team up. Honestly, it makes me. There's so many team ups I wish would have happened when people were in their prime. Can you imagine a 1980s, 1990s Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jackie Chan film where either they're partners or even if they're fighting each other, but neither's necessarily the bad guy. Maybe they just have competing interests.
That'd
be awesome. But, it is what it is. Maybe with CGI Tarkin and stuff taking off, maybe in 20 years we can start getting team-up movies between dead actors.
That doesn't count. It doesn't count. It's not as good. No.
Did you know that this is actually interesting? Maybe next time we'll talk about this because the idea of replicating dead actors is an interesting ethical and business decision that studios are going to have to be talking about over the next 30 years because that technology is really expensive and prohibitive now. But come on, in years, that's going to look perfect. It is. So that's an interesting topic to talk about. In fact, Robin Williams said in his will, this was really forward thinking of him, no one can recreate me digitally for any reason until something like 2050 or something like that.
Oh, better live till 2050 because in 2050 we're getting a Robin Williams movie.
Patch Adams 2, even patchier.
I didn't think it was gonna be Patch Adams 2.
Even Deader Poet Society.
Oh, gooder Will Hunting.
Anyway, that's it for this episode. We're back to our regular schedule now, by the way. So don't worry about
gonna
that.
do some more game stuff and all the things. We don't have We got busy just like normal people because we're normal people. So, holidays get crazy, but
we still
good to go.
We still have to talk about the Doctor Who Christmas special, by the way.
We'll do that on a Who Cares soon.
Just a brief, I liked it. It was okay. What else? Once Sherlock is done, we'll do the season wrap-up of that. We still never did our Westworld wrap-up, and the end of that.
Oh, we need to do that.
By the way, if any of you have not seen Westworld Season 1 yet,
Watch it.
You're lucky because you don't have to wait week to week. You can sit down and binge that shit. And if you haven't, please get either HBO Go or HBO Now or whatever, or pirate it. And watch all of them. Seriously, set aside a day.
Allegedly pirate.
It's a great show, and we should talk about that at some point. Because
HBO Now is the shit, though, for real.
It is. It's like $15 a month.
Just they didn't pay us to say that. It's just super awesome.
It really is. They have pretty compared
people
to Netflix,
always make fun of us when we say, "Hey, do a thing," and then people are like, "Why don't you just hold out for money?" They're not gonna watch this shit. You kidding me right now? HBO is not gonna pay us two jackasses to tell you to go buy that shit.
I'd be surprised if Audible.com would.
They do anybody.
Wow.
They will do anyone. Anyways,
anyway,
I'm Hugo.
So, I'm also Hugo, but for real.
I'm incognito.
Oh, good for you. This has been Unpopular Culture. I forgot the name of our show. That's how long it's been.
I promise. No, I don't. I was gonna say I promise we'll get better. No, I don't. Just click off now. It's over. I'm done. Okay, so now there's no video. You're still listening. Still listening to my voice, though. Okay. All right. You obviously don't know when to leave. I'm going to make you.